Yo, the NBA draft is making landfall shortly. We're about 24 to 48 hours away, something along those lines, depending on when you're listening to the show. I'm your host, Cheddar Chad. We got David Grubb. We got Leader to God. Let's talk about it.
First took away. That's for this. Get your money's worth now.
Welcome to today's show. As always, sponsored by Scott McNair. They always fight for the win. If you've been hurt in any injury, and we're going to talk about injuries to start the show, God bless Tyrese Haliburton. But give them a call. They always fight for the win at 504-500-1111. Shout out to Blue Moon. You see I got on the product. Shout out to John Day. I see Lito got on the hat. Sunshine is always powered by 4D. And shout out to Task. We got a new, I want to make sure I get that right. We got a new sponsor. Shout out to Theo's Pizza. None of that yo, yeah. None of that yo. None of that. Shout out to Ryan Bourne. Shout out to the entire chat, man. We got Corey in the building. We got Ashton in the building. We got Reed Wilson, Michael Morgan. We got DJ McGuire, Gus, Justin Davis, my dog. Shout out to everybody. Savage in the building. Eddie the Dawn. Shout out to everybody. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Fellas, how y'all doing today? How was y'all weekend?
That's what it was,
bro. Oh, you good? You good? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Weekend was just
it was
sorry, there you go. And but I'm hanging with my daughter. She's with me for the next couple weeks, so that's always good.
Summertime. Lito, how's everything going with you this weekend, brother? How was your weekend?
Man, my weekend was it was good, man. I realized why I don't be in studios or do rapper things. We had a show and we performed. It was like 2 a.m, bro. I was so tired. Like, I'm still tired. Like, I can't. Y'all got it. I'm retired.
It's so much of a commitment.
I'm retired. I told him that I'm done. I'm good. This was cool.
You gotta do matinees, bro. You gotta do the matinee shows.
I did some brunch, some brunch raps.
Yeah, you do the same interview 15 times. So who's on the album?
It's
it's like 3 of us. We are like, give me a break.
But for real, go get the you can't stop the God. You gotta get that.
Oh yeah,
if you ain't heard it,
tell the people where they can find the product at.
Man, appreciate y'all, man. Thank you. Hold on, man. Before I tell y'all, Grubb, man, I gotta give love to my OG, man. He put me on. I'm not gonna say her name because we got that in the works that's coming. But shout out to Grubb, man, for the alley, man. Grubb been supporting Chaz too, man. Me and Chaz been talking about music for damn near 5 years now. So but we got a joint. Yeah, it's been that long.
It's been a minute.
It's been that long. We dropped me and my homeboy Chuck, man. We dropped the album on Saturday called Can't Kill God. It's everywhere on any streaming platform. If you want to support straight to us, though, it's on Bandcamp. Pay whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? Just I just want y'all to listen because I ain't doing it no more.
Somebody, we about to get into the final. Shout out to Most Hated Bronze. I guess that's a perfect alley-oop. So of course, man, my beige brother Tyrese Haliburton goes down. We drop it like flies versus Tatum and Haliburton. It's rough out here. I gotta wear my bulletproof vest. So you see, he goes down in traumatic fashion, game 7, man, and he was having a hell of a start to the game. That's what makes it even crazier, right? Of course, 5 days ago, I think now 6 days, the Pelicans had just traded their rights to the 2026 pick that was the top 4 protected, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So you talk about divine timing. I don't know what the opposite of that would be, like heretic timing. I don't know, but it was terrible timing. It was terrible.
They call it demon time.
Yeah, it was on straight up Luciferian time. So now what are y'all? I pretty much did a show breaking down my thought pattern in my thought process around it. Now that you guys have had some time to digest the news, bro, we're gonna start with you. What do you make of the trade in hindsight? And I'm gonna follow once I get you guys' feedback. I'm gonna follow it up with a question. Bro, I'm gonna start with you.
I mean, my thing is, I think you're always giving a trade incomplete till after you get to see what materializes from it. I think obviously it's an unfortunate thing, but when you're not, I think we'd have to ask Joe some questions and find out, why was the deal that urgent? If that's the only time it was on the table, or if they made phone calls and this was the best deal they could get. Okay, we'll deal with that and we'll see what happens with these picks. But I mean, it's sports and sometimes things don't bounce your way. But the ultimate thing is if you got bad people picking, it don't matter if you're picking in the top 4. It don't matter if you're picking at 24. And I think that's the thing about this team is, and I did an article on this for the bird rights. And, the Pelicans have had, this is the 4th time in their history they've had multiple picks in the first round. And it's never worked on both picks or 3 picks. They've never come out of that situation with more than one good player. So we shall see. But I think that's ultimately what it's going to be is 2 years from now, we'll really know.
The most recent example would be Kyra Lewis. I'm sorry, not Kyra. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jackson Hayes, and Hilton Armstrong, and was it Cedric Simmons? I had to do that Hilton Armstrong was a beast. I was like, are you crazy? Like you from New York, is my partner. But I guess maybe that's where the bias came from. He tried to argue me down. Lito, what do you think of the trade in hindsight? Or do you still feel cool about the trade? You like, fuck it is what it is. Do you feel good about the trade?
I just want to say Hilton Armstrong was mad timid. I'm not sure what he was like. What your man was on? Like that's if I had to define a basketball player with a stoplight color, he a yellow light.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. I'm like, what was the point of this?
I don't know. So I'm gonna say this. Speaking from a fan's perspective, we did a show that's crazy, Ron. That's a little that's a little egregious. From a fan's perspective, like we've been talking about how we want them to be aggressive, we want them to try to make moves. We also talked about them, moving back, trying to get additional picks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you kind of can't have it both ways in this instance because this is what we asked them to do. We asked them to be aggressive, come in with a offensive mindset as far as players are involved, and they swung. It's time gonna tell whether it was a base hit, it was a pop fly, or if it was a home run. You got a little bit of time in the scenario because let's say, right, in this instance, let's say the 23rd pick turns into insert X. Girl, who you remember? You remember who you said?
Let's say Tayshaun
Nick Clifford. I said Nick Clifford.
Nick Clifford.
Let's say Nick turns into an excellent rotational player for the Pelicans, right? My theory is this. Haliburton going on next year, right? We know that's a fact. I still don't think they're missing the playoffs. I still think that's a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like a catch-22 in a sense because you want them to do it, they did it. Not granted, like maybe they could have waited, waited, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
make a draft day deal, but I think you got what you got. I'm fine with it, honestly.
Yeah, it's kind of like buying a car while a motherfucker driving it. And he's like, just open the door, just jump in the car. It's like, dude, the finals end Sunday. Like you could have waited. You didn't even know it was going 7 games at that point. You could have just said at the conclusion of the finals, we're gonna talk again. But I wanted to ask y'all this because I did see a few people saying, well, it's not the biggest deal. I'm not going to rehash like why I think it is like a larger deal than some make it seem like in the comments. But I want to ask y'all this. And this is for the fans as well. You guys should chime in. Make sure you hit that like button. We got 100 people in here.
Yeah, what's the like count? Somebody gives a like count.
Yeah, can we get a like count, fellas? We appreciate y'all. But yeah, so if you're the Pacers, right? Would you be like, you know what? Fuck it, y'all can have that pick back. Like, no worries. You know what I'm saying? Or would you say, well, now, maybe I don't want to extend Miles Turner. Maybe I don't want to rush and get into the luxury tax and start the repeater tax. Maybe I take a year off, regroup. You know what I'm saying? Give Naismith and Nembhard all the minutes they can manage. Ben Shepherd, Mathurin. Because these are some quality guys, but again, if Siakam, God forbid, something happens with Siakam, something happens with one of their higher usage guys, because when Naismith went down, they was in free fall for a while until they finally figured it out. But, something along those lines happens. Or if you're the Pacers, are you trading that pick back tomorrow? Since for a lot of people, it's no big deal. Is anybody trading that pick back tomorrow?
I think the Pacers is there are certain organizations that just don't tank You know what I'm saying? Like, because of
Mhm.
where they are and how they have to respond. And throughout the Pacers' history, you know what I'm saying? We've never seen the Pacers bottom out. And I think the way that they're looking at it is nobody can afford to take next year off in the East because so many teams in the East are question marks. You know, like they're looking at Milwaukee as a question mark. They're looking at Boston as a question mark. They're looking at Cleveland as a question mark because you don't know if they're going to come back the same way and if they can maintain what they did. So I
Right.
think that, and now that Kevin Durant is no longer an option for teams in the East for sure. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, I think that you look at the Pacers and they still figure with the Knicks maybe being dysfunctional next year too, and that team may be wearing down because the year after Tibbs, you know, you start to see them injuries start ticking up for the Knicks. So let's say if the Pacers figure we can still be a top 4 seed this year, which I think that they can, because I think you're looking
Mhm.
at Orlando and Cleveland at the top, and then
Yeah,
who
it's
with all
kinda
these other injuries, it's Orlando. Everybody's like, those are the teams that right now look like they're in the best position. So I think if you're Indiana, it's still for you, unless they luck out and end up in the top 4. I think for them, they feel like, we just got a pick back. We needed another pick because we got to get cheaper because we're in the tax.
Mhm.
We're going to start paying this tax. I think that, with Turner, they ain't going to go above $25 million with Miles Turner. They already know that. So I think that, they've budgeted this. They've never paid the tax before they finally ready to pay it because they got to Game 7. And their fans are looking at it as you went to Eastern Conference Finals, you got to NBA Finals, even without Haliburton. Let's say they make a trade during the season and pick up another guard from another team and really start, or one of these young guys picks it up.
Mhm. So, Lito, same question. You're the Indiana Pacers today, right?
Yeah.
And again, for the Pelicans, it's no big deal. It's whatever. So you're the Pacers. Would you say, you know what? Don't worry about it. Y'all can have our 26th pick. Or are you saying, nah, because now I got options?
If I'm the Pacers, yeah, I'm going with options. I'm going with
Okay.
options. Because like we heard talking to him, obviously with the way that he had played in the playoffs, they had talk of re-signing Miles Turner. But like, who knows now with Haliburton being hurt? Like, who knows if they pivot in another direction, a cheaper direction? Because don't they have what's dude name who got hurt? They backup center.
Wiseman.
Wiseman, and don't they have Jalen?
I think Wiseman
Jalen
was on
gone.
him.
Jalen
Jalen
gone.
gone.
Jalen
All
is
right.
Chicago.
Yeah, he actually, that's the guy tore his Achilles, right?
Did he tear his Achilles?
I know one of their guys had a very, very, very bad sprained ankle. That was Naismith had a terribly bad sprained ankle, and the backup center tore his Achilles against the Pelicans. Both of those situations happened with the Pelicans, if I'm not mistaken. Jackson,
Okay.
Isaiah Jackson, yeah.
Isaiah Jackson. Okay. My
Yeah.
bad. But if I'm them, I'm rolling with options, bro, because like I said, I still think they got enough talent on that team to make them stay afloat. You know what I'm saying? Until Haliburton comes back. Hopefully he regains the same form he had prior to the injury. Jackson. Yeah, shout out to Ronald. But like you got opportunities where somebody like Ben Mathurin is gonna get
do this thing. Right.
He's gonna elevate his hopefully he elevates his game and takes that next step. They got a lot of guard for them, they got a lot of decent guard play, a lot of competent guards, which some of the Pelicans lack a lot of, not to switch gears on the organizations, but they're in a position where like really Haliburton just get healthy, like they right back to where they was. I'm cool. I'm not trading that pick back.
I mean, you put Watson out there and you still got TJ, and TJ just coming off the greatest bench performance in finals history. Like we got to acknowledge that TJ McConnell gave you the greatest, most points and assists and rebounds as a reserve ever in the finals. So it's like, as long as they can continue to run and they don't end up making Siakam the focal offensively, like he can be the scorer, but the guards still have to push the tempo. And that's going to be the big thing for Nembhard is can he run the offense?
Yeah,
man, it's certainly going to be interesting. Go ahead.
No, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was going to say, and it's kind of crazy. Like it's kind of crazy how a player's reputation can change with like a little bit of coaching and a little bit of seasoning. Because man, like if you look at Obi Toppin like literally now is one of those guys where you like, damn man, I forgot what commentator it was just like, man, you can't let Obi Toppin get hot. And I'm like, what? Like, what world we living in now where like
Man.
Obi Toppin is the killer? But it's crazy because you got somebody that athletic and that active, and if he gonna knock down shots like that, he forming himself into a prototype. Like that's the type of forward you want on the wing.
And, it's funny you mentioned that because that is the perfect transition to talking about Maulach at 7, because that seems like the buzz has kind of been heating up a little bit about Maulach potentially even falling as late as 9 in Toronto being interested. Of course, the news came out today with I think Ace, he refused to work out for Utah, and you got all these anonymous players. Like I think VJ also didn't work out for Charlotte. Like I don't know, I don't know what's happening with Charlotte and LaMelo Ball. I don't know if that's really true necessarily, but they seem to be painting him as the reason some guys don't want to go there. It's interesting. But when you talk about Maulach and Grubb, you've been the advocate for drafting him. Do you see Maulach as someone who could produce in the short term? Like when you look at how Lito referenced Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin was a offensively gifted guy, but still a little bit of a project, maybe a little undersized at the 4 or what have you. And he got to that second team, and in the playoffs, he stepped up major in series after series. But do you see Maulach as a guy that can immediately contribute on his rookie scale contract?
Yeah, I think so, because I think he comes in and he's number one, he's 7'2". And you can't teach 7'2", and the Pelicans don't have 7'2", and he's not small. He doesn't have to come in and grow into an NBA body. He's already got that at 245, 250. The defensive instincts alone, like we've seen in the past how much that has impacted the Pelicans when they've had. Look, you go back to the Emeka Okafor coming back to the Pelicans when they didn't have any centers, and all Emeka Okafor could do was block a couple shots and grab some rebounds. Couldn't score for nothing. Like he had a bunch of games where he scored maybe 0 or 2 points when he was back, but he got positive plus minuses every night because he gave the Pelicans something that they didn't have. And I think right now his learning curve is shorter than Eve's. And I think that, as much as Eve's progressed from 21, the 21st pick and all those things, Eve's was so much more raw. And I think that Maulach on the defensive end in particular could come in and start. That doesn't mean I don't think there are other players at 7 who could come in and play for the Pelicans, but I don't think he's a bad pick. I think he's somebody who could start at center and gives you a lot more flexibility. And I know you've thought about if you could move Eves for other, potential picks. And I think absolutely, if you can, like Eves, you've done your job, man. You know what I'm saying? You've done your job. If you increased your value in 1 year and made other teams want you and they want to put you somewhere else, cool. If the Pelicans can upgrade. If they can't and he's a backup for a while, that's fine too, because he was always intended to develop and grow into something. And I don't think in this one off season he's going to be there. So that's why I like Maulach, is that he comes in and he just does his thing.
Lito, what are your feelings about Maulach? Ivy, Chris, and yourself, and I tried to join, but I was having some technical difficulties. We got to do the film breakdown on Maulach. What is your assessment of Maulach if he's the 7th pick? And I would imagine he's the de facto starter, because you can't draft the 7 and not start on this team. You got to start.
So hold on, before I say that, let me say this. As far as the 21st pick for Eves, right? Like in the Pelicans' defense, to me, if they weren't drafting enough for Khalil Ware, I think that they probably got the most from a talent perspective that they could out of that position at that point. I'm not really looking at it like in hindsight. You can't really be mad at that. Like he performed, I would say, probably better than anybody assumed he would.
Absolutely,
right?
my opinion.
I think our gripe with him was he had newborn deer legs. He couldn't hold position. He was getting pushed around. You know what I'm saying? You saw him in Summer League. We did the film breakdown at Baylor. He was terrible. And I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like the film don't lie. He was terrible. Now I will say, kudos to him for improving at a pace in which he did. Like that's all him. I'm on the opposite side of it from Grubb. I'm not the biggest Maulach fan, not because I don't believe in his ability. I just think that I would like to see a more skilled player with Zion in this instance, like with Trey, with Herb, with whoever, because I think for me, the 23rd, I know we're talking 7, but 23 for me, I had Danny Wolf.
Danny Green was pretty good too.
Danny Green was solid, man, NBA champion, bro. But if not him, there's Maxime Renault. There are players that can give you rim protection and better offensive skill. Now listen, Maulach's comps as far as like who his ceiling is, right? You see the Rudy Gay aspect. You see Rudy Gay. God,
Gobert.
that was wrong.
Gobert, yeah.
Rudy Gobert aspect
Same
of
initials
of his game, and like, yeah, listen, if he gonna get to that type of ceiling, great. I just worry with where Zion operates, what potential limited skill set that Maulach has with who's coaching him. I don't feel good about it.
I would say this real quick. It's just that question, and I think we've done this multiple times, and it's just funny how it always comes back to how little confidence we have in developing somebody.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with the draft so much right now.
Yep.
Is that any of these dudes, any of these that we talk about, need development. All of them need coaching. All of them need help.
Yep.
And there are some that need more than others. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are guys, but if you talk about fears, you talk about, like, that's a dude who needs, like, you got to guide that young man into being a starting point guard in this league. You got to teach him right. And I think that's the hardest thing, is no matter who we like, whether it's who you like, whether I like, whatever, the fear of what do you do with these young players, I think paralyzes so much of this conversation. No,
and look, to Grubb's point, bro, like, Grubb, listen, if the foundation was there, I mean, me and you, we talked about this. You and I, we talk about this obviously in the group chat and shit, but like, if the foundation was there, dog, I'd take a swing at Noah. You know what I'm saying? At 7, because I know somebody would be there to build him up, to give him the reps. It's a chance. Shit, man, they draft Maulach, they send him to the G League. You know what I'm saying? Like, they or he doesn't play, or he doesn't go to the G League and he just don't play. And like, the response is gonna be, well, why didn't you play him? Well, I got these veterans and it's like, you can do both. You can do both things, bro. Like, it don't have to be all the way right, all the way left. Like, you can literally, especially like last year on a team that was headed nowhere, that hesitancy to play Carlo for the majority of those games that he set, like, what are we doing?
This strikes me.
I mean, we've talked about this too with the rookies. Nobody gets to play unless they have to. That's the Willie Green way. Unless somebody gets hurt, rookies don't play. And that part is a problem. Like you said, you have to have a well-crafted plan for all of these dudes. You can't guarantee people minutes. Yes, you got to earn minutes. But at the same time, in any game, there's 5 minutes where I can put you in a position just to get your feet wet and figure out what the NBA is about. In every game. It don't have to be 5 consecutive minutes, but there's enough time to get you on the floor regularly. And Willie just refuses to do that.
A question I had more so like this analyzing situation is, how often, if you draft Maulach, how often would you have two or more non-shooters on the floor? I think we're at a point where it's like, all right, this got to be CJ last season. Like, like, you have to move him. You can't just let him get expired. You can't just do that. Her Misi lineup isn't very confidence inspiring. Her Maulach lineup isn't very confidence inspiring. Also, especially now with Willie Green at the helm. So I'm like, looking at it, I feel like either you're moving you're moving Misi and bringing in some more shooting, or like maybe you're moving, a larger contract and adding Misi in as a sweetener, or again, you're moving Herb and maybe bringing in a dynamic point guard like a Garland or something like that, just to add some more shooting, some more play creation, things of that nature. Because even though you got the 23rd pick, and I like the Clayton Jr. and Maulach, who both are clutch clients, by the way, and you happen to have a clutch client in the building who may, be trying to push his way out of the building. Also, you got Brandon Boston Jr., who's injured right now. who you may end up having to waive. So it's something to keep in mind. Keep in mind, you just had Brandon, who was also a clutch client. But even with those guys, like even if you draft Walter Clay Jr. at 23, counting on him to come in and be a spot starter and give you all these dynamic minutes and play make and do all these things, it just seems like, to me, if you like Fears, or if you believe Fears or someone along the perimeter is that guy, then just go get the perimeter guy, because I feel like the center and personally, I don't know if Fears or anybody is that guy in this draft. I'm not super high on this draft. So, but I feel like with Maulach in this draft, there's so many maybe that can't necessarily mimic what he can do, but Klingon was just in the last draft. You got Misi at 21. You got Maulach in this draft. You got Sorber. You got Danny. You got all the centers in this draft. So I would like to see them really address the perimeter with pick 7 and potentially give themselves some more Zion independence. Because if this shit goes to hell, like it very well could, you need to be looking at potentially tanking this year also. Like if the thing with Zion just don't work out and you got to move it, like you probably need to tank again this year also. So I would hope that you would draft a high upside foundational piece at 7. Not to say that Maulach isn't, because he very well could be, especially if he turned out to be a non-injured Mark Williams or a Rudy Gobert, like, things of that nature. But we'll transition, because also speaking of centers, a center got a very good contract today. Someone who has been linked to the Pelicans for quite some time, and Daniel Gafford. Now, keep in mind, it's a very interesting thing that Dallas did. So Kyrie's hurt, of course. Daniel Gafford's due for an extension. Pete was due for an extension. PJ Washington was also due for an extension. They already have Derek Lively under contract. Of course, they traded for Anthony Davis. Do you guys think so? Now you got 3 starting caliber centers on the roster, because Anthony Davis is a center. 3 starting caliber centers on the roster. Do you think that this could potentially make a Derek Lively available? Because I say that because Dallas had some rumored interest in Herb Jones, and now your front court is solidified. You need somebody on the wing. Go ahead, Lito.
Let me tell you why. Because with how AD operate, right?
He don't want to play center.
He ain't playing center, so you already know Gafford or Lively is the starter anyway. Mainly probably Gafford at this point, because you paid him. And
is Dwight Powell on that roster still, or is it Maxey?
I think he's a free agent this offseason.
Okay.
Powell's free agent.
I feel like he's been on that team for 20 years.
Job security.
they love him from Dwight Powell, bro.
They found a new light-skinned center. He was the old light-skinned center. They found a new light-skinned center.
They got a beige upgrade.
That's crazy.
But no, man, I think what's crazy, Chaz, to answer your question, I don't think Lively is available, and it's crazy because from what Joe talked about, the 2 big lineups, like Dallas is still implementing that. Like that's something that they are gonna do, because AD is not gonna play center. And for all intents and purposes, they kind of got to acquiesce to what it is that he want to do, because I mean, you see what they gave up for him. Like they can't lose out on that trade.
You know what? I kind of feel like now that they got Cooper, I wouldn't be shocked if they was like, all right, AD, this ain't working out. We gotta move on, because I think he's due for an extension as well. Like he's sticking around with the injury shit and being difficult, because Lively comes with his own injury issues as well. I wonder how much independence does Cooper give them for saying, look, we got our new knight shining armor. We gonna Kyrie hurt anyway. We're gonna just take a step back. We're gonna move off of PJ. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna build around Cooper, Lively, and the assets we get for AD and PJ. And once Kyrie come back, we're gonna roll with that. Like I think
AD has that value right now. I don't think AD in a retrade doesn't have that value, because like who's gonna take that money on right now? You know what I'm saying? Everybody's tightening their belts, and who's gonna take on an injury prone, over 30, really expensive big? You know what I'm saying? Like if you're gonna do that, I mean, Miami's got Kel-El. You know what I'm saying? Like they got young bigs.
yeah.
Like
And
I
they
think
say he
Miami's like,
untradeable.
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? They got Adebayo. They're not gonna give up those two because they heat players. Like Pat Riley ain't gonna trade for no dude that's always hurt and bitches. And that's AD. You know what I'm saying? Like Pat Riley try to hear that stuff. He just sent Jimmy Butler out for that. He ain't trying to have nobody
He just
come down there
cursed
and
out
talk
Tyler
his money.
Hero. Yeah, shit,
So,
he just cursed out
like,
Tyler
I just
Hero.
don't think AD got that value right now.
But with the number Gafford guy, I think it's reported that he got 3 years, $54 million. It puts me in the mind of Alex Caruso's extension, which it went up from like 8 to like 18 something, and it's going to escalate to 20, 21, etc. With her being in line for an extension this year, do you think they can extend her while Dejounte is still on the roster?
I say no. Like I think getting that Dejounte contract out of there is so important. And I think for Herb, who's going to be in the neighborhood of $19 to $25 million in that range, wherever it goes, depending on the number of years. Like, because I mean, that's, Miles Turner was getting paid $19 million this year. So if Herb if we count him as the fifth starter, even if he's a sixth man, I would call him the fifth starter, I think 19 to 25 is that max. So if you talk about him at 25, let's do the high end numbers, all these. Him at 25, Trey at 35, that's 60 right there. Zion at 40, that's $100 million for those three guys. You know what I'm saying? And you haven't moved CJ yet. You haven't moved Dejounte yet. So if you giving if all those dudes on the roster, that's Dejounte makes it $130 million. That's $135 million on four guys. So you got to move Dejounte before you agree to that deal with her.
That's why personally I'm in the mind of about at least 4 of y'all got to go. It depends though. It can be any combination of the 4 or 5. Like be it CJ, Dejounte, Herb, Jose to a lesser extent, and Hawkins. It's like some of y'all got to go because even with the Pelicans where they're at now, I just can't see them paying. Well, I can't find it justifiable for you to pay her $25 million. Now, where you at right now? This probably the last season of all this being realistic. So it's like, bro, get ahead of the curve because you look like once again, you just saw what happens with a guy like Herb, of course, don't have Kevin Durant clout, but you just saw what happens when a guy becomes extension eligible. And he's able to kind of dictate his own fate and say who he doesn't want to extend with, et cetera, et cetera. And man, I think Phoenix got destroyed in that deal. Like, I think they got destroyed in hindsight. Lito, what do you think about Gafford's extension? And what are you looking at faced with the reality of Herb's extension? What moves would you think the Pelicans need to make before even considering something like that?
I mean, what's the money? It's 3. You said 354.
Yeah, it's 354 for Gafford. That probably around like 19,
that's 18.
20.
That's 18.
Yeah,
that ain't terrible.
Well, shout out to Nat.
Shout out to Coach Nat, man.
Thank you, Buku Saga.
I feel like that was it was a security move, specifically, like I said, for the AD situation. Because again, I'm gonna just keep saying I don't with how much of a how crazy that trade was to the average fan. Luka going to the Lakers, they can't afford to fuck it up to where AD's like, I want out. You can't lose that trade right now. Like put it like this: Nico can't, even though it's not 100% on Nico, but Nico can't lose that trade. So he got to make AD happy. And if AD want to send him, because I mean, you heard the grumblings in LA, right?
Oh yeah, he literally say, I want to send her.
That's what he want. And then what happened? He got traded. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like he got traded immediately. So if that's gonna be the thing, to keep him not only happy but healthy, where he don't have to take that physical, beating. Pause. I think that it ain't terrible money. It's some centers out there making a couple dollars that I don't know if for instance, I don't know if you want to call Triple J at 4 or 5, but that next money he about to make,
yeah, it's unreasonable.
That's why he's betting on himself this offseason, because he didn't get that all NBA money this year. He didn't get that bump, so he's trying to get it this year because that bump is considerable. Like they're between 150 and $300 million.
No, Lito, let me ask you something. Are you extending her while Dejounte is on the? Are you entertaining extending her while Dejounte is on? Left? He got this upcoming year left. He's probably gonna miss the beginning of the season, but after that, he got 1 year. So let's just say 2.
I'm not sure with the cap situation. I don't have it in front of me right now, but I don't know if they can with the Dejounte. If I could extend Herb Jones, yeah, you know what I'm saying. Like if I could,
they can for that year because the contracts that are coming off. You talking about
like CJ
down the road?
CJ's
coming off. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you got a bunch of Kelly's contract is not on the books past this. Jordan's contract would be done. All these dudes' contracts would be gone except for Zion, Trey, and Dejounte in 2 years.
So let me ask y'all this. In the same breath, is this obviously I know we did a pod about Dejounte and we talked about what he said and in the manner in which he said it. Do you think now that they are actually looking to move him?
Dejounte,
yeah.
I believe so.
Like you think a trade isn't imminent?
I don't know if it's imminent given his situation, but I think the effort is there. I definitely think the effort is there because again, going back and watching that again, and I was debating on doing some diabolical shit, but I just let it slide. I was like, do I have to put together a live compilation? But I just like, I'm gonna let it slide. So I'm just like, you can't lie like that on a public forum and have the whole building in shock right now. Like, yo, what the fuck is he doing? And like coming back to the and you not playing, and you wasn't like dead nice like that when you was playing. There's really no connection there whatsoever for Joe Dumars and company. So I would think that they like, all right, we gotta get this guy out of here, by hook or crook. And I don't think anything's imminent given his situation, but I do think Rich Paul and Joe try to pull something off.
How can you put him in front of Willie again? When you said we was out there just hooping with no guidance, you can't let that dude back in your locker room. You can't let that dude back in your locker room. If it's true,
that's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Like either way, if it's true, you can't come back in this locker room because now you've said it. Everybody knows it. What you said, what you think of Willie, because that's not on anybody but him. That's who that is. Because it's not like Griff could be like go ball. Like Griff don't do the game plans. You know what I'm saying? That's on Willie. So who else you can't bring that dude back into the mix. You got to get one of them to go. And you already said you committed to Willie. So that means Dejounte got to go because you cannot have that in the locker room with young players around who come in and they're going to ask him. He's going to be like, man, Willie don't know what he's talking about. Willie don't know anything. As soon as he gets back in January, they're going to make sure he can walk. And by then, if he can walk and run at the same, and not all over, he gone for whatever they can get. If it's 5 second rounders, he gone.
But girl, so look, he literally like there was friction between him and Willie day one.
At the opening press conference,
the press conference, he corrected Willie Green about 4 to 5 times. He spoke for him. You know what I'm saying? He spoke over him. And you saw Brandon Ingram say the same thing about Willie in that Oklahoma Thunder series they lost. Just talking about basically playing all vibes. There's no guidance. There's no coaching here. So I mean, that's pretty damning. You got 2, high profile players in your locker room saying the same thing about your guy. Yeah, I don't know how he come back, bro. I don't know how they. I don't know how.
One would ask Brandon, why you hired this motherfucker then, partner? But yet and still, Stacy, shout out to Ryan say, yeah, Jose did co-sign with Dejounte said. I'm just saying, like, if I'm Joe Dumars, like, I don't know y'all. Like, y'all, if you ain't gotta be here, it's like, hey, you're replaceable. But shout out to Stacy, she stayed with the truth. See, I'm glad you brought this up, Stacy. I was wanting to say this. I think something that's become prominent in this current era in my current generation is his truth and her truth. To me, ain't no such thing as his truth and her truth. It's either the truth or it's a lie. Now, some of the stuff he said was probably true, but we know for a fact a lot of the things he said was untrue. And now I gotta kind of throw away your whole testimony, because the stuff you said, like, people, this was a real interview, it was real, it was raw. It was like, yeah, but that's his personal life. That his personal life don't really have anything to do with the product on the court. The things he said pertaining to the product on the court, we say, oh, Stacey, you're a dude. Oh, my bad, Stacey. No disrespect. No disrespect. Stacey from Englewood. But you born on the wood. Boy, beat the shit out of him. Yeah,
moving to Kansas.
Yeah. So yeah, but some of the things that he said, Stacey, was like, he really just flat out lied. Like he just straight up lied. So I don't know, man.
Do you want to? I don't know. Do you want to go into detail about, like, you want to talk about the lies, or can we talk about the lies?
We can rehash it a bit and talk about some of the lies he told.
I know for one, I don't know.
What lie, because you didn't really get to give your perspective on this one, Lito. What lie?
The first lie out of mouth was that he didn't want to come to New Orleans. That's the first lie right there, because he was sure on the bandwagon, jumping out there talking about, I'm ecstatic to be in New Orleans. He was the first one running out there when Josh Hart telling people nobody gets excited to go to New Orleans. He's like, that's not my experience.
Right.
You ain't had to say that. He's the one taking pictures with Wayne. He was the one doing all that stuff, doing all this extra. I'm in New Orleans. I remember his interview with Aaron Summers, and he was talking all that stuff about how glad he was and how he had talked to Zion and all this, and they was going, and Zion played him up too. Remember, Zion was like, we boys, this is my dude. Dejounte is my guy. So that was a lie straight off the top.
And then the brother said, "Oh my mama, I'm happy to be." It's like, nah, you just wait. Like, come on, dog. Like, you either was lying then or you lying now. But go ahead, Lito.
No, I mean, I think I missed that show, but like, we heard a difference in opinion about the training situation. He flat out said he didn't have time, but there was nobody on the training staff where he could do his work in, or there were no tables, or there were no courts available for him to get his work in there. And like, to me that's such an egregious. Yo. Go ahead.
What can we get a like count? Look, we got 199 people here. If we get to 120 likes, I'm gonna give y'all a members only scoop. We're just gonna give it to y'all on this show. Get to 120 likes, and we gonna expose one of the lies. Let's see. We had 69 likes. Appreciate you, Game Osborne. Let's get to 120, and we gonna expose one of the likes. Y'all being stingy with them likes, boy.
That's good. Right, so just in the show, Chad. Just in the show.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the point? But so speaking of which, so Kevin Durant, of course, is now in the Southwestern Conference. So to me, and it was already tough. At least he went to a team that was already good. If he would have went to a trash ass team and made it better, that would have been more of an issue. But at least he went to a team that was already number 2 seed. So now he's in the Southwestern Conference. Okay. The Phoenix Suns, their return in the deal was they don't seem to be too happy in Phoenix from the shows I've watched. So they got Dylan Brooks. You got the 10th pick, and you got Jalen Green, right? So it's another team that desperately needs a center. You got Jalen Green, distressed asset guy, probably not the most efficient guy. I believe every lineup with him on the floor in Houston when he was a negative. It's pretty impressive. So if you're the Pelicans, you look at a team like Phoenix, who also did like, we gotta keep Devin Booker here. Like, we need to impress Devin Booker. Are there any proposals you guys are making for a Jalen Green, or for that 10th pick, maybe Macy for 10, some combination of picks and salary for Jalen Green, like just CJ in 23, something along those lines? Are you guys interested in anything that Phoenix got going on?
There's a couple things that I could get from Phoenix. If I want to get that pick from them, yeah, you got to give them a big, and I think you probably have to give them a wing too. And I don't know who that wing is, but a secondary deal that I might be willing to make if the draft doesn't fall the right way is to go get, and I hate this dude, but you know what I'm talking about, Grayson Allen, because they got like 9 2 guards in Phoenix. And if you don't nail that shooter in the draft, let's say you draft a point guard and a center in this draft, in whatever combination, whether it's 7 and 23 or 23 and 7, however it goes. But if you get that and you still need shooting, then maybe Grayson Allen is that fallback if you can't get them to give up a pick. But I think you might be able to, because you don't want Beal in that contract. You don't want Dillon Brooks and at this stage. Dillon Brooks is for a winning team, and I think he ain't gonna be happy in Phoenix either way. You ain't gonna put him there and have him lose, and he's gonna start bitching and moaning. But I think if you get a Grayson Allen, he's a pest. He can play a little point. He can play that too, and you know he's going to shoot 40% from 3. So, I think if that's your backup, I think that's something I go after from Phoenix if I can't get a pick.
Lito, what's your interest in any of the things that Phoenix currently has? Being green, you got Ryan Dunn, you got Grayson Allen, Tyus Jones is a free agent, I believe. They got Nick, I think it's Nick Smith. Nick Smith's over there. Do you have any interest in what Phoenix got from the Kevin Durant trade or what they had on their roster prior to?
Grub's trying to bring young Ted Cruz to New Orleans, man. Hey, I like Grayson, bro. Grayson, I think he shot that bitch at like 40%. Like I'm gonna say this: you need a Grayson Allen on your team. You absolutely do, and that's one of the things the Pelicans literally have never had. They've never had that guy who like everybody just hates, and he's cool with it. He don't mind doing the dirty work. You know what I'm saying? Grayson is sneaky athletic. You know what I'm saying? But he can knock down. You know, he can knock down the 3, and that's the most appealing part of his game. I'd be down for Grayson. I like Tyus. Like I think, bro, Tyus led the NBA in like assist to turnover ratio the last. I don't know if he did it last year, but like for 4 or 5 years in a row. Yeah, when he was a backup in Memphis, he was, you know, I think Tyus would definitely be an upgrade over every literal point guard that we have on this roster.
So I know that nobody said nothing about Green, like, you know,
Jalen.
Yeah, Jalen. Yeah, you know. To me, it's about the cost.
There's too many single-digit games, man.
Yeah, to me, it's about like the cost of acquisition, right? If I can get them for like CJ and 23, oh yeah, I'll do it. CJ 23, well, who cares, right? Why not? At least because I feel like if you're the Pelicans, to address one of these, be it guard, even though I think center is a little easier to find, but when you're trying to address a dynamic guard situation, you really gonna have to take on a distressed asset. And I don't think Anthony Simons is a distressed asset. I think he's overpaid though. But you got Anthony Simons, who's probably going to be on the expiring, I think at like $27 million. You got Jit Green, you know what I'm saying? Garland is probably a little bit of a distressed asset now. Contract look a little funny in the light when you consider the last couple playoff performances. But still, I really think you're gonna have to gamble on a backcourt player because Fears, I'm like whatever, lukewarm on Fears. Really, if they get the trades right, I don't care who they draft. Like I really don't care who they draft. I would be a little annoyed by Con Nipple, but aside from that, I really don't care who they draft.
Damn, come on, son.
Look, Con Nipple.
I like Con, bro.
I
like Con, man.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. I'm speaking from a selfish perspective. I do not want to cover Maulach or Con Nipple this offseason. It's just like, yeah, all right. So maybe we work on this. Like,
hey, well, look, this is my thing with Con, right? This is my thing. I'm with you. That Georgia Tech game for me when couple flag was out.
Yeah,
it changed. He got so much more to his game. He ain't just a shooter. You know what I'm saying? And he got an NBA ready body. Like he can hoop. I think I don't have it in front of me right now, but they came out with the metrics as far as like the shuttle drills and the vert. His vert was higher than Cooper Flags. Like, kind of fucking athlete.
I ain't gonna lie. If we had like pick 11, so I was like, yeah, cool.
I understand.
Yeah,
They all the same. That's
yeah,
Ace Bailey messes this up for everybody.
It
Me
does.
say,
It really
I
does.
sent y'all a quote in the chat where it's like there's a scout. I think it was an agent. It was like Ace is messing this up for everybody.
Yeah,
because you have no idea now between 3 and 11 what's going to happen, and I mean I'm seeing like your Noah Love. That is picking up a lot of steam. I have seen him ranked as the 3rd best player in this draft now. I've seen him that high by people that in sites that I respect. So it's like, I'm with you that the face is changing as far as the way people are perceiving some of these players and all this stuff is really, but I don't think Joe at 7, like I wish he would take a risk like that because I'm fine taking the risk at 7. You know, I'm fine taking a risk at 7. You and playing it safe at 23. But it seems like from the stuff that we heard from Joe in his interview with the Times-Picayune and whatnot, it sounds like he views 23 as the pick that he wants to take the risk with. And that's just from reading that thing where he said you could take a bigger swing later in the first round. So it just feels like they won't take they're going to look for something that they're trying to look for that bird in the hand at 7 and then look for something else at 23.
Yo, so let me ask y'all this, just because now it becomes interesting, right? Let's say, because different names have fallen, of course, Trey Johnson, Maulach, Khan has fallen. VJ stayed pretty much in the 4 to 3 range. What's the most you're willing to give up for pick 10 in this draft so that the Pelicans will have pick 7 and 10? And potentially 23. But what's the most you guys are willing to give up for pick 10 in this draft?
I mean, it ain't 7-10. Like I think to be honest, I'm probably cool at 7. Like I don't really. Are you saying trading 7?
No. I'm saying you got pick 7.
Trading to add 10 to the group to the
Let's just say, to simplify, let's say you're moving up from 23 to 10.
Oh, okay.
Or shit, we talked about like 13 and stuff like that. So let's say you call Phoenix to say, look, I will give you Messi and a future swap. Messi 23 and a future swap for 10. Messi, all rookie guy, I don't know what Phoenix is, but is that an overpay in you guys' mind?
Let me ask you this.
Depends on who's there.
I was about to
I think if I'm making that pick, if I'm doing that, I'm waiting till draft night. Like that's when I'm not making till I see how the board is falling.
Let's say
if Trey Johnson is gone, if Maulach is gone, if Khan is gone, if it starts falling like that, and by the time I get to 7, like just when I get to 7, if the people that maybe I don't want 10. You know what I mean? And I'm looking for those mid-first round picks for those teams that have multiple picks. I'm looking down at 16 or something like that. Because I think whoever jumps up, and I think we all feel like somebody that we don't know,
I think Maulach
is going to jump into that top 7. And if that changes the whole board, I don't want to jump in at 10 and be stuck with a player that I'm not in love with.
So let's say the board falls as predicted, right? Well, let's say it's pick 4 is, let's say Khan. It goes Khan. Ace is off the ice. Let's say VJ goes 3rd. 4 is Khan. 5 is Fears. 7 is 6. And Washington gets Ace. Now Trey Johnson is on the board.
Washington at 6. I think Washington takes Ace at 6. Yeah.
Yeah. So now on the board, you still got Fears. No, Fears is gone, right? No, I think you still got Fears, I believe. No, Trey Johnson. She said Trey Johnson. So you got Trey Johnson, Queen, and Noah. Jaku, I don't know why I mentioned him, but Jaku, he's on the board.
Oh, not Jaku.
Yeah, you got the Murray Boyles. You got all those guys still on the board. Like, if I could walk out of this with Trey Johnson and Queen, or Trey Johnson and Noah, or Noah and Queen, this any combination of the two, would you guys do that, or are you still kind of like
I could get Trey. Yeah, if I could get Trey Johnson, I would take Trey Johnson.
okay?
I just didn't think he'd be there at 7, but I would take Trey Johnson because I think, again, if you talk about players ready to come in and contribute, at the very least, I know Trey Johnson doesn't need to be told to shoot the ball. He don't need to be told that. He's going to take shots. And I know he can be a reliable outside shooter already. So those things alone, like I can still get a center at 10. Like if you say, if I take Trey at 7, I'll take it. And then at 10, yeah, I'll get my center at 10. If it's Maulach at 10, if it's Queen at 10, I'll take my center at 10. And then at 23, I'm taking the best player available at 23 because I've met my needs at 7 and 10. You know what I'm saying? So that means 23, I'm taking whoever I want.
So what are you offering for pick 10 today? Well, shit.
Misi's what you have to give. It's either Misi or Herb. I mean, that's just the situation. It's either Misi or Herb because you got to give a starter to get 10. And the Pelicans only got 6 players that's considered starters, and ain't nobody taking CJ in that top group. And you're not giving away Zion, and you're not giving away Trey. So I think it has to be either Herb or Misi, and it just depends on who the team is. Like if it's Phoenix, I think that they're more likely to take Herb, or like I think they would take both of those guys, honestly, because they're less likely to take Herb right now because they got all these 2s. Right. And you know what I'm saying? Like they got all these 2s and 3s that they got to deal with. And I'm not taking Beal back.
No, they got Royce O'Neal too.
You ain't gonna hand off no Bradley Beal to the Pelicans. So I mean, I think Misi is probably a safer pick for them because they know what Misi can do already. They got a bunch of dudes who need shots, and Misi don't need no shots, and he can offensive rebound for dudes that are gonna miss. So I think you might have to throw some sweetener in with Misi for that 10, like Hawkins or Reeves or a future second rounder or something. But I do that to get 10 if I know I can get the kind of player that I really want at 7. But I think it's one of the things that I'm watching as the draft goes in, and I'm seeing where 4 hits. Once 4 hits, I'm like you said, when 4 hits, I know what the rest of the board is going to look like. Yeah, I know where nobody's jumping outside of 4. You know what I'm saying? Because I think for the Wizards, Utah can't afford to go crazy. Like they got to get somebody that people know right now because they screwed up. And I think Washington took their risks last year with players that nobody knew their names. So they got to find a star again. Somebody. That's why Bailey doesn't fall below Washington for sure in my mind. So
to me, that's
I think
his most ideal situation, Washington and Brooklyn. So Lito, what do you have? Let's say what's your best proposal for 10? Like y'all take this good. I'm just picking at 23.
If I gotta get rid of Herb right now, I'm cool because
I wouldn't do it for 10 in this draft. I don't think.
Yeah, not in this draft. And we talked about. I mean, we did a show about Herb the other day. We talked about all his intangibles and like his value is going to increase, but right now it's probably at its lowest point just because of lack of games played, the injury. So I'm kind of with Grubb in the sense that. I'm not married to Misi anyway, but if there was a player that, coming off his highs right now are probably a little bit more prominent than Herb's just because out of sight, out of mind, right? The last time I see you, what did you do for me? And, Misi was coming around as a rebounder. He was I think he had a 19 and 12 game. I think 2 or 3 games before the season ended, something like that. I would start with him, if I had to include. It really depends on who's available. I'm not gonna lie to you, but
let's say Queen, Noah, and Jaku available at 10.
I don't want Jaku, but them other 2 you name, listen.
Because at least I would say at least one of the 3 is gonna be available at minimum.
Yeah, I think so. In that same instance, like I know we talking 10, but at 7, I don't think Trey gonna be there either. Like I think Trey is gone, unfortunately.
So you think it's Fears or Ace or Queen?
Yeah,
maybe Noah.
I do. I you know what? I kind of think it's a lot of posturing with Ace too. Like I know we've been hearing a lot of shit, but talent is the biggest demon. It's the thing that's gonna get you fired because you believe it, you see his potential, and you believe this kid could be insert X player, right? I don't believe that people just gonna continue to just let him slip down the draft boards. I think that's what the talking up is for. Like that's what all this full of. Oh, well, y'all ain't gonna draft him. All right, cool. Yeah, no, I don't like him neither. You know what I'm saying? Secretly, is like, yeah, we you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we gonna get him. Yeah,
yeah. I'm gonna holler at him. But if Queen is there for me, I absolutely take Queen. If Fears is there 7 or 10, I ain't mad at that. Like I'm not a huge Fears guy. I see the potential though. You know, I see the potential. It's just the shooting scares me. That 28%, that's nasty work. And
turnovers, man. Them high turnovers always be freaking me out.
And he hella young, right? He hella young. I think he was
the 18? Second youngest player in the draft, I think.
Yeah, him and I think Noah's 18. Like I think he's a true 18.
Maulach ain't no
Hasheem to beat. Shit,
I just read that.
I saw Hasheem to beat, man. I saw Hasheem to beat.
Yep.
No, Hasheem to beat was, you could tell he had no feet, no feel. Like, and he ain't love basketball either. I don't think he loved basketball either. To beat was terrible.
I think my call is I got Measy, Jose, and 23. You need a point guard. You need a center. And you need some cheap depth because you're still a second apron team and you can't aggregate salaries. So here you go. Take this before I change my mind. And let's just give me a bullshit contract back or whatever. And give me, I think they got one guy who's like $8 million non-guaranteed. Or there's something weird, like a team option or something. Just give me that bullshit contract back. Take this in this pick and give me pick 10. So I think I would do that. We're gonna go to we're gonna take a quick commercial break. On the other side of commercial break, we're gonna get to the fan questions. And yeah, man, y'all tap in. And we got 235 in here. Let's get to at least 150 likes. You know what I'm saying? Let's show love. Yeah, I think we close to 125. So what's the like count real quick before we go to commercial? Somebody,
back
please.
Break and do story time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Y'all right there. So you hit the number. We gonna I'm gonna get you a story. So we're gonna go to a quick commercial break and we'll be back.
Charles is my name. Jarrell Curl is my fame. Who could be? You need to know. I'm your hairdresser who really knows. You're gonna have a curl to catch the eyes of every guy, every girl. Just 27.50. You'll look good in the city. Soft bouncing curl.
Shout out to the Lou. Boy, I know Jarrell eyes burning like a motherfucker. Jerry Curl in this heat. Jarrell in Vegas. I looked him up. Shout out to Jarrell, man. Doing
He's still alive?
Yeah, Jarrell doing his thing. Shout out to Jarrell, man.
They got a new Jerry Curl coming out. You know they redoing the Jerry Curl.
Oh, I got a bunch of shower caps. So I'm gonna partake. I wasn't around in the 80s, so I gotta give me a curl like Doughboy. I'm in it to win it. So I think we need a quick like count. We need a quick like count. Before we get to the like count, we're gonna go through some of the fan questions. Lito, this one is for you, actually. Is it too late for a Cedric Coward breakdown?
Nah, actually, that is probably coming out either tomorrow or early Wednesday. So no, I got you.
Okay, for sure. Thank you, Dr. 318. We appreciate you, Doc. Inferno in the building. He says next year draft just as deep as this one. Bruh.
I think next year is a better draft, especially if you're looking for height. Like this is a short draft for a lot of guys at the top. You know, the best players in this draft are smaller guys. Next year, like I think the top 15 players are all 6'6" and taller. So I think next year, actually, like there's more exciting talent coming out next year. Like, I mean, you got your boy at BYU is going to be coming out. You got a lot of scoring and a lot of athleticism that's going to be available next year.
Yeah,
I definitely did.
I definitely did read that. Like when Harper and all those guys first was like, "Oh, he's gonna be number 2." It was like, "Yeah, he better do it now." Because him and Cooper, they better enter the draft now. Because next year you talking people saying, "Yeah, Cooper fast, like 4 or 5." Like, damn, is it real like that? We got Mont Dog in the building. He said Julian Wright or Hilton Armstrong.
You got
who was more
Boozer
trash?
brothers. You got all that stuff.
Oh yeah, that Boozer, one of the Boozers was nice.
Julian Wright.
I saw. Mont Dog say, "Hey, Grub, you said Julian Wright was worse than Hilton Armstrong." Lito.
Julian Wright couldn't catch. He couldn't do anything as a bad. He couldn't. All he could do was run. He couldn't catch. He couldn't defend. He couldn't shoot. Like he couldn't do. He wasn't even, and he couldn't be big. At least Hilton Armstrong was 7 foot as advertised. Like Julian Wright was supposed to be a super athlete, and he couldn't do nothing.
He was like a trash Pascal Siakam.
I can't talk about Julius because that's my dog.
Oh yeah, I think you did say it. Right?
I can't talk about. Hey, look, I'm gonna tell you this. He watched the show. He told me one time before we was in a wedding, bro. So I was like, man, Chad, chill on me.
Wait, I'm say this though, Julian. I know you watched the show, homie. I thought you was not. I thought you was gonna be dead nice. I ain't gonna lie. I thought you was next up. I heard you used to be drinking soda though. They're like, he just can't stop drinking soda. So I don't know if that was true or not.
It was crazy, bro. Kansas, man. He was like, I don't know. I'm not a Hilton Armstrong. I mean, both of them were not good in the NBA, but I'm gonna probably say for me, Hilton was worse just because, like, Paul's Hilton was just so soft, bro. Like he was just such a just.
I just can't remember nothing good Hilton Armstrong ever did. I remember Peja Stojakovic hit a game-winning 3.
I just think I had more expectations for Julian.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Cause I think that was the thing, right? Because when I saw Hilton, I didn't know who the fuck Hilton Armstrong was. I was a little kid, but I remember Peja Stojakovic hit a game-winning 3. Like a fadeaway turnaround jumper against the Phoenix Suns, and this bad back Peja. And the whole team like went to tackle him, and Hilton Armstrong was on top of the pile doing this like elbow. I'm like, who do this? Get that dude out of here. So I don't know. Did he get traded to the Cavs?
He did?
No, it might have been Cedric.
Cedric Simmons got traded to the Cavs, didn't he?
Yeah, that's that.
And where I can't remember where they sent Hilton. They should have sent him to the hotel. That's what they should have sent.
They sent him to the.
I was with Julius. Right brother.
Motel
Saturday,
6.
Man. Oh yeah, yo man, get Julius on the show, Lito. Pull some strings, dog. We gotta get him on the show.
I'm gonna holler at him, man. His brother still lives here.
Sacramento.
Okay.
They sent Hilton to Sacramento.
Oh, okay. That's a perfect place for
Hilton Sacramento. The Sacramento sent him to Houston.
That's crazy.
He must have been like Luther Head.
I can't remember getting traded every week.
I can't remember nothing Hilton ever did. Shout out to Hilton, probably watched the show too, man. Shout out to Hilton Armstrong, man. I think he related to Lewis. Hey, shout out to Ryan in the building.
National championship. I think Hilton championship was at UConn, so he got one of them.
They thought he was gonna be Emeka Okafor Jr.
That's a hell of a person to aspire to be a JR of, but damn. So he said Ryan in the building, he said Gaffer got 20 mil, Turner probably getting 30. Undoubted. I think 25, 30.
25.
Oh,
25.
He had an awful finals, but shit. So JB in the building, he said, we draft Maulach. I hope it's to trade him to Phoenix. Now, I would need quite a bit from Phoenix. I need a future. Damn, Phoenix ain't getting any picks back, really.
Nope.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm doing that. Nah,
I'm not giving up a 7 to Phoenix for nothing they got on that roster.
Yeah, I don't know, JB. Trey in the building, he said, Grub, aren't the Pels in the market for a new lead player development coach after Dan Garriott went to Iona? Or is that Iona?
Yeah, he became the head coach at Iona.
Congratulations to you, Dan.
But yeah, Joe said that's what his commitment is to develop the player development side again and add to it. But we haven't seen any names yet. I think all of that stuff will be in place before the summer league, because I think that's where you really want to see the staff start fleshing out. If there's going to be any changes to the coaching staff, if there's going to be anybody added to the player development, they got to be ready to go to Vegas and start getting these rookies ready. So I think Joe is going to make a move soon. So we'll see.
Yeah. Ryan in the building, he say Maulach had 0 rebounds in the Final Four. I think he meant that final game. He had 0 rebounds?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Somebody told me that was also around the time that the Sudanese players were having some, issues with their visas and things of that nature. And he could have been potentially worried about.
Yeah, that's when they told him he might have to go back to America. Remember, he didn't know if he was going to be around because they was talking about he might have to go back to America.
Back
to Africa.
Yeah, back to Sudan. So I don't know. But fuck him. He only averaged 4, so it ain't like it was way off from his average. But that was just a bad game for several guys. Down in the building. What up, Down?
He averaged 6.6. Don't be doing that to that man. He averaged 6.6.
Oh yeah, well I said 4. Yeah, I'm tripping. He averaged 6. My bad. I think 4 might have been what offensive boards or something like it was something weird. Well, I was like, damn,
he was a great offensive rebounder.
Yeah, he's like, I think he was like top 10% or something like that, right? In offensive rebounding. And Misi's very good offensive rebounder. So we gotta say, down on the bench, that Chad.
His rate, I told you, his rate is higher than both of them in college.
Hey, extra possessions. Shit. Chad said we need to move CJ to the. I guess he mean to the Pelicans front. Oh, he said Pelicans front office. They hold my beer. I wouldn't be shocked if they were looking at avenues to move CJ. I think they're inspiring. Before I get the trade question, would y'all move CJ and Dejounte for well, now you couldn't do that. Would y'all move Dejounte right now for Bradley Beal? If they just say 1 for 1, Bradley Beal wouldn't do it. Nobody doing it.
Okay. You're taking on $55 million.
It's only for 2 years, though.
$5 million.
Yeah. That's a lot of money.
$55 million over the next 2 years. No,
that is a lot of money. Shout out to Bradley Beal. I've never really been a Bradley Beal fan, dog. Like you would have to give me 10 to take that contract. Like you have to give me
Bradley Beal the closest one to fulfilling the argument between Nick Young and DeMarcus Cousins. When DeMarcus was talking about, dude, and Nick was like, you can score 30 on a bad team. Bradley Beal is that guy.
Yeah.
He's that guy.
Boy, that trade didn't make no sense when it happened.
He the perfect example of love who love you. Because he could have been in Washington till this day getting paid. They probably would have signed his ass. They love
a statue of him.
They love Brad.
Trash, that's a year 7, and we have not seen a Zion workout vid. That's so strange to me. Because I would think he would do that just for brand consideration. Because he definitely works out. I don't know if he work on basketball, but you think he would do that just because you were Jordan and Jordan would put something like that together, but no. I don't know.
Actually, last year was the first time he really had an offseason where he wasn't hurt.
Yeah, that was the first time. Right?
Remember, we saw him in China a lot. He was doing a lot of
Nike tours, and that's with Luka.
Yeah.
And
so he was overseas most of last summer, but that's when we saw that he was losing weight. Like that's when we first started seeing Zion is in shape. So last season was really the first offseason of his career that he'd been healthy.
And then the athletic Will Guillory, he was able to shadow Zion in his camp this past offseason. So he documented some of Zion's offseason workouts. So you should check out Will Guillory's piece in the athletic from this past offseason. Cleveland in the building, he said we get dunk videos when he's injured and pasta videos in the offseason. I don't know if I've ever seen no pasta videos.
That was from the tattoo. I think that was.
Oh, he was eating pasta with syrup. That'd be crazy. Denzel Horton says Zion will not be on the team within the next 4 years. We need to start preparing for that reality. That means we need to draft players with star potential. Totally agree with him.
I think we all in agreement on that. Is nobody thinks Zion is around for a long time, whether he's with the Pelicans or not. His career is 12 years. To me, I thought he had 12 years max in him.
I ain't gonna lie. I don't care if you're here or not. I think you still need look, analyzing this roster. It's just like, well, OKC got one guy. It's like, you think Jalen Williams not not like that? You think Chet like a bum? Like them dudes not bums. Like, you know what I'm saying? Them dudes, they just not like a lot of times they just really aren't the focal point whatsoever. Chet goes somewhere where he's forced to be the focal point, gain weight, and he don't gotta look like malnourished and shit. He'd probably be a little bit nicer, honestly. Same thing for Jabari. Buku Stat guy said, has there ever been? Oh, we answered that. Cleve said we shit on Misi for 0 rebound games before we drafted him too, and it worked out pretty well. Did it?
I mean,
you picked him at 21, Cleves. You picked him at 21. You know what I'm saying?
He gave you second team all rookie.
Yeah, he gave you second team all rookie. He was reliable, dude. Yeah, it worked out. He's a very solid rotational guy. But I still would say, I mean, again, you play in traffic, you don't get hit by a car once. That don't mean you should play in traffic every day. But yet and still, you know,
I don't think we shit on him. I don't think we shit on him because of his rebounding in college though. Like
I think we just didn't want the. I just think we didn't want that prototype.
Hey, look, and that's okay to say. I'm so tired. Like, bro, like it's okay to not to like something. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's fine. It's okay to have an opinion, stand on your opinion. Like, I didn't like the pick. I didn't want them to draft them. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, we all allowed to be proven wrong. Like, right. I would never sit up here and say I'm the end all be all when it comes to opinion, and we gonna all be wrong on something. And I think, you know, there are gonna be players that everybody on this chat and everybody in this thing likes who flop, and there's gonna be players that we didn't like who do well. And I mean, I think you just gotta, and situations matter, and how the player reacts matters, and all those things that we have no control over matter. And so we ain't soothsayers. I can't predict the future, but all I can tell you is based on the evidence and I think that's what each one of us tries to do is you take the evidence you got, you do the best job you can, and if you're wrong, just say you're wrong and move on. I ain't gonna sit here and argue with nobody over whether I was right or wrong. My record is what it is. I mean, and I ain't ashamed of it.
And, you know, shout out to Eve and credit to all the work he put in. He's still putting in work. We saw this offseason video, speaking of offseason videos. But I always say it with guys, much like Eve and with Dyson, even if they're cool stories, they're still not what you drafted them to be. Eve is not some rim defending, switching on the perimeter, rim running guy. That's just not who he is. He's something else. And whatever that other thing is, he's shown a lot of promise, and he's definitely a very solid rotational big, in my opinion. We got T5 the Great. He say, if Trey Johnson there, you got to take Trey. And my bad, Cleves. I miss you. Benny and Cleves. Trey Johnson is our guy. A lot of Trey Johnson love, man. I understand. Cleves in the building say, man, I understand. CJ is an awesome dude and a solid player. If I'm being honest, I never wanted him on this team and have been waiting for him to be traded ever since he got here. God damn, that's a lot of honesty. That's like me. I don't want us to draft Maulach or Khan. I'm a root for him once they get here. But you know,
if the reason you didn't want him because you wanted to keep Josh Hart, then that's totally wrong.
Yeah.
That's a totally different argument.
Boy, Josh Hart gave this team his ass to kiss. I'm out of here. Trey in the building again. He said, however good you think Jordan Hawkins is at movement shooting, Trey Johnson is better. Woo!
Dumars better shooter than Jordan Hawkins right now. Yeah. I'll take Joe Dumars coming off a screen over Jordan Hawkins.
Yeah, I'll take fucking Daredevil playing basketball over Jordan Hawkins. Jordan Hawkins. Shout out to Jordan Hawkins, though, no disrespect. I'm just saying, I just don't want I don't want the motherfucker, you know. Shout out to him though. DJ Primetime, he said Grub was the great addition to show vast knowledge. Amen, brother. We got Mont Dog and here with another Grub comment. He said Grub is the voice of reason, the balance. Shout out to Mont Dog and Grub in the building. We got Donald. He said we unload Dejounte the Phoenix. That's something we spoke on, Donald. Appreciate you, Doc. Denzel Horton, he said Grayson over Knipple.
To do what? What are we talking about?
Maybe he means as like a shooter, role player type guy in that particular role.
But Grayson is a finished product. You know what I'm saying? Like
Grayson got great hair.
I mean, 40% career through.
Yeah, like you know what I'm saying. Of course, I would imagine he's gonna be better than Knipple today. Now the real question is, do you think Dalton Connect is better than Knipple today? Because that's when the questions start getting kind of like, well, I don't know. Because if I thought Hawkins and Trey Johnson were close, then I'm passing. I'm good. I don't want Trey Johnson.
Yeah, I think he better.
Yeah, I think he absolutely better. But if I thought they was close, I'd be like, Say Khan is the perfect replacement for CJ. Okay, Coburgo 1. Okay. Stacey in the building again. He said, Grub, who was the playmaker? I'm presuming he means currently on the team. So, Grub, who do you think is the playmaker on this team?
Right now, it's Zion. I mean, I think we all would say that is like, you don't have a point guard right now. We know that. Yeah. Like, that is not, like, there is a concern, absolutely, that you don't have any. I've said it plenty of times. I don't think you can play Jose more than 20 to 25 minutes a night, and he certainly as a starter is not very effective. So I don't want to put CJ in a position to have to play point guard and start for this team at the lead guard. So right now, your ball handler. I mean, Trey did a better job last year, but I don't want him to be my primary. He should be my secondary ball handler. But right now, it's Zion Williamson. So yeah, that's why we've said guys like Trey and all these other guards that might be available, because we know that they need a point guard. And there are some affordable options out there if you don't draft. I mean, even if you do draft one, you still need a veteran. And I think that there are places that you can certainly look and find a veteran to hold it down. But it ain't nobody they got on this roster. And I don't want to hear no more. The one that I hear too much is people saying give Elfrid another chance. There ain't no reason to have Elfrid Payton on the floor if people are hurt. Like, let that man go. I know he's a hometown hero and everybody love him in New Orleans, but the man is the worst defensive guard and he has no desire to shoot the basketball. None. So don't be asking for Elfrid Payton to come back.
$3 million, a lot of money for a vet minimum, even though the league pays a portion of it. Lito, is you going with Sorber or Danny Wolf?
I'm going with Wolf.
Going Wolf. I see. To me, Wolf is one of them dudes. I'm just like, I would be excited covering him as a prospect. But I can also see a world where he's just a cool college player that never like. I don't know. That would be tough.
I hate to see Willie Green with him, to be honest with you. Like,
yeah. The thing that scared me about Sorber is Sorber looks so much like Kevon Looney to me, and he looked like this Kevon Looney. Like, he just looks like an older guy how he moves. But I think he's gonna be in the league for a long time. I think Sorber's gonna be in the league for a long time.
Sorber reminds me of?
Who that?
Thomas Bryant.
I can see that.
Thomas Bryant, like Sorber has a nice outside stroke, good defender around the rim, not an explosive athlete. Thomas Bryant is not an explosive athlete, but he gets the job done. And I think that's what Sorber, I think that's the kind of player you get out of Sorber, which is a nice later, first round pick.
He took 23. Yeah. So shout out to Jay Knapp in the building.
Jump over a sheet of paper.
Yeah. But Maulach has some verticality issues as well, but he's 7'2" with a crazy wingspan, so it matters less, right? But
he's 250. That 250 is a big part of it too. That he ain't small at 7'2", and he's not slow like Zach Edey. We're not talking about Zach Edey slow.
Yeah, it's kind of maybe more like Klingon a little bit. Like that to me, that's like year-to-year comp to me. I think maybe the most athletic big in this draft is maybe what's his name, Renard. He might be. He doesn't look like he playing against the church league though. Like when I watch it, I just don't ever see him playing. Like I don't follow college basketball a ton, but I just haven't seen him like against high level competition. But I still
Maxime didn't really get hot till the end of his French, year. He didn't really start picking it up till late in the year.
Okay, that explains.
He's 22, and I think
he's 22.
Yeah, he's 22.
Oh no.
But I'm gonna say this. I think he could contribute. Like, I think he can contribute now. Like, he's one of those guys. He gonna be he a decent rim protector. He got he's a great passer too. So,
Hey, at 23, it's like whatever. Like, you gotta go for whoever their best prospect, best name on the board. I kind of say the same for 7 pretty much. Justin Bullitt in the building, he said, would y'all bring back Larry Nance's offseason on the vet? Man, it's an absolute no for me. Absolute no. Heck
no,
nah.
Not even for the rookie minimum. No.
God damn. Nah, I just wouldn't do it. I don't see the point in doing that.
No. Like, you have to strike out on everything to get back to Larry. You got to strike out on all your moves to get back to Larry. And I think for Larry, it'd be the same thing. Like, Larry's plans would have to just tank this summer. Because he got to be thinking, like, I want to be somewhere where I can win something. Like, if you're at this stage, Larry's 10 years in now?
Is it only been 10 years? Because he got drafted, like, right before Brandon?
Right before Kobe retired. So, like, he played with Kobe in his last year. So, it's been about 10 years now. So, I think at this stage, and Larry played all 4 years of college, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, I think his time is coming to a close. He gonna end up somewhere like New York or something like that, where he ends up playing a backup spot.
No, I'm just gonna presume and trust y'all that we got to the likes numbers. I'm just presuming trust y'all. So in closing, Dejounte Murray. And again, nothing to do with anything that happened off the court. Everything to do with what happened inside the building and as it pertains to his play and injuries, etc. Again, much like Zion, the team offers you certain things. And it's up to you to take advantage of some of those things. Right? It's up to you to get your training in. It's up to you, make sure you're stretching, you're doing your pregame workouts, etc., etc., etc. Right? There's reasonably reliable information in the building that says if Dejounte Murray wasn't getting his training in, it was his decision to not get the training in. You know what I'm saying? And this is something we heard about way before the season ended. Like way before the Achilles. It was like, yo, everybody do what they want to do around this bitch. Like, you show up to school sometimes you don't. So that's why when he says, I couldn't get this and I couldn't get that, it's like, bruh, man, them dudes, them developmental coaches and assistant coaches and those guys who just pass you the basketball while you shoot, they live for this shit. You can call them 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. Like, come on. Like, let's stop lying. And that's what makes me really question his motives with that part of the interview. That's what makes me really question that motive. So draft is Wednesday, guys. Any final thoughts before we close out?
Man, just don't mess it up. Like, that's the whole thing. Is just whoever the player is, like, I'm not gonna be mad for the most part. Whoever they pick, I can't just see this going to. But don't be the Pelicans. Let's for the first time, let's get 2 quality picks when you got them in the first round. And I would love to see them. My favorite, my third thing would be pick up a second rounder. Pick up a second rounder if you can. Because I do think in the second round, there are only 29 picks. Everybody don't have a pick in the second round this year. And, teams always be giving them up. Take somebody's second rounder that they're willing to give up and get another flyer.
Oh. Lito, you drafting Egor Demin at 23? If he does?
Oh, man. See,
I mean, shit. Hey.
Look, man, he another one of them. He another one of them. Like, I could literally see he in the same, not the same class as Noah to me, but a 6'10" dude who could dribble, pass, and shoot.
Mm-hmm.
We're still working on the shoot part, but from what I seen in the combine, from what he did in college, like his jumper has started to come around. It's definitely more quicker than it was in college. But I can't draft him because I got nobody to put time with him in his game.
Yeah,
I got nobody to build him up. I love his game though, but I can't.
Even at 23, I don't care who on the board. Really,
like
the
what
best.
We talked about. Remember we said.
Go ahead.
Remember we talked about this, like coach proofing players.
Oh, yeah.
Like it feels like that's how the Pelicans have to draft. Is they have to get players who can't be messed up by the coaching staff.
That's why I almost
you
feel
gotta
like
make sure the kid is gonna be a kid who comes in and works on his own.
That's why I almost feel like
I don't want
23
people,
is
I
about to be.
want basketball players.
That's what I think. Whoever they draft at 23 gonna be like Tyler Shuck. But he about to be 26 years old, reclassified senior in college. Already got his master's, and he just playing basketball. Like we gonna draft him and just see what we got. It's like, God damn. But all right, y'all, it's been today's show. We'll catch y'all at the draft, man. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, become a member. We'll give y'all some more breakdowns and stories and things of that nature. But be safe. We'll see y'all Wednesday. We out. Peace.